Hey, welcome back to As a Man Thinks. I know we've been away for a while enjoying the summer. Hopefully you all have as well. But we are back, and what have you all been doing for the summer, fellas?
Working, working, and working.
I would say the same, but since I teach, I haven't really been working, not like that. So I just been chilling and doing a whole lot of not working.
All right, for the most part, and I just spent some time back home. If you don't know, I'm from Boston. So was able to go away and spend some time with some family. And other than that, just been working as well. But we did something good this week, guys. We actually did an event with a shout out to Jay Morrison and the Legacy Center. We were able to support a youth summit. Dr. Meyer, Dr. John, appreciate you having us. What did you all think about doing that youth summit? Just so everybody knows, it was a leadership group. We got to teach a young group of young boys. Those boys were from the ages of about 12 to 17. What did y'all think about that youth summit and leading that?
I felt like it went well. I thought it was gonna be a lot of people there, so Courtney and Deshaun was riding me kind of hard because I don't like to speak in large crowds. So Courtney was making sure that she was okay, which that's what he was calling me, the she. But I did pretty good. The turnout was pretty good. The boys was pretty good. Everybody got involved, which was enjoyable. So I myself believe that it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was amazing. I mean, we had about 13 to 15 young men there that we were able to impart in their lives, and I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me was them wanting to get involved, them hungry to play their role, and we did a little skit with them. And they're super excited to get in the car, and they're super excited to learn. So I thought that it was a great session. Appreciate the invite.
Yeah, the thing that stuck out for me was, just hearing the children, and we asked them what their passion was, what they enjoy, what are some of the things, and it's amazing. Some of these kids, and I'll be surprised if you ask your children what their passions are, because we heard things such as music and fashion and instruments and sports. And what we didn't hear was video games or really, I don't know. So, kids really have a passion. And I really like some of these leaders. We asked them what was leadership. And the majority of things we heard was, caring for others, learn how to be humble, treating others the right way, leading situations and, being responsible for different things. So I thought it was good that we seen those young boys really kind of step up and want to be leaders in their community. So again, shout out to Jay Morrison, the Legacy Center. We loved it. Love to come back and be a part of that. So today we figured we talk about what it's like raising boys. All of us have boys here. I've got two boys, Deshaun and Andrew, and you can introduce who you all have.
Hold on a second. I did not realize that I was this black. I mean, I'm looking at y'all black. Y'all black is different than my black. My black is black. Like I'm African black. I ain't trying to detour, but
purple,
my God.
But you also just spent some time in the sun watching Sorry Brave.
I'm like that comedian that's saying that mother sucker.
Hey, I'm black.
He called you Michael Black.
Hey, I might be. I'm dark. Man, okay. Sorry, but so he was saying that we were gonna be talking about raising boys, and I had the pleasure to have, some great young men in my life, that I'm excited about having the opportunity to raise and impart in them. So
I actually have four boys. Two of them I'm not sure if Courtney knows about yet, even though they are his god kids, which is the strangest thing. But I have four boys, and I definitely am excited. One just graduated, one's just not going to high school, and then two not even in school. So I gotta start all the way over again.
What you mean start all over again?
I know.
You want more kids?
No. I'm starting
That's what it sounded like.
over again. I got a 9-month-old. They haven't even reached school yet.
Listen, the funny part for me was when Kyrie said, I got four boys. Then he goes, two of them, and I swear at some point you're gonna say two of them. I don't even know if they're mine.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I hope your wife's not watching this. You just denied two of your kids. You pulled it off well though, saying you didn't think Courtney what they were, but for a second, I thought he was gonna say at least two of them. He's not necessarily sure those are his or
I mean,
not.
at least one of them, the one with the green eyes. I told him we need to check that one. You know, he high yellow, green eyes. You know, he don't look nothing like his. His hairline ain't receiving. Like he ain't look nothing like this. So you know, paternity test.
They all mine.
Yeah, own it.
Yeah. They all yours till the court say they ain't yours no more.
All right, but yeah, real talk though, man. So all of us have boys, and we want to do two segments. So this one to be about raising boys. Then we also want to do one on raising girls. And I know Kyrie, well, you know, he says he's got 4 boys, but we still think there's a perspective of someone who may eventually have girls, because I think they're not done, regardless of what they say. Until it's done, it's done. But so, what is it like for raising boys, y'all? What is the privilege? What are some of the challenges? You know, what do y'all feel about raising boys that's unique?
I really think it's easier to raise boys than girls, but I mean, I ain't trying to look.
How many
first of
girls
all,
do you have? How many girls do you have?
I have 3 girls.
Okay.
First of all, you know, let's not start nothing. You know, I ain't saying that boys are better than girls, but I feel like boys are easier than girls. Just my perspective. You know what I'm saying? All y'all beehives and all the women run the world, please don't come for me, man. Because I'm not trying to be sexist. I'm just saying it just seems that boys are a little bit easier. I think that we give the boys a little bit more leeway than we give, you know, girls. I mean, you know, fathers are super protective of their daughters because we instantly feel like, you know, our boys can kind of hold their own, but daughters are, you know, might need their father to step up and say, wait, hold on a second, don't talk to my daughter like that. You know, so, you know, I can understand, you know, dads being a little bit more protective over the girls and the boys, but I hear it all the time. My daughters tell me all the time, oh, you let the boys do whatever. Oh, you don't care what they do. If they want to date, it's good, but if we want to date, it's a problem. Hey, they might be right. They might be right.
I mean, for me, all I have is boys. I mean, for the most part, I have pretty good boys. They don't do anything crazy, at least not that I know of, or not that they're gonna let me know about. But I don't have the challenges Courtney have, because I can't really say boys better than girls or whatever, because I don't have that perspective. But it's been pretty easy. Of course, there are a lot of like manly man challenges that you would think, like, so if your son go outside in the neighborhood and get beat up or something like that, like that's a challenge. Or if your son maybe, I don't want to, not to offend anyone, it's not have nothing to do with,
Here we go.
I'm just saying, like, if your son is soft or whatever, it's just, you know what I'm saying? So like you have that worry of like, okay, I sure hope you don't grow up to be, you know, soft.
See, here we go.
Here
we go.
There's nothing, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking
So
about,
basically,
you know,
you
like,
don't want your son to have sugar in his tank.
scared to fight.
I'm just
or
saying,
that's
I'm just
what I'm saying.
saying, throw
I
it out
ain't
there.
talking about
That's
that.
your preference.
I ain't
It's just
going
a
in.
preference.
I don't
It's
want
just-
no problem.
It's just a
I
preference.
mean, nobody sitting
Okay.
at my doorstep or none of that. I'm just
Okay.
saying, like, it's interesting to be a father of boys, because there are a lot of different things that, as a man, you feel like you have the perspective of what a man should be like. So, like, people would say, like, if your boy crying, you know, you'd be like, hey, man, shut up with all that crying. We ain't doing no crying. Do I see blood? No, I don't see blood, so you good. Ain't no bones broke, you good. So that's just how men are raised. But you know, now or they, you know, some of them a little softer than others. So you know, that's a word.
What you mean when you say that? Some a little soft. What does that mean?
I don't mean anything. So go ahead, Deshaun.
What does that mean when you
Well,
say?
where did it come from though?
You
So
know.
I mean, I'll tell you this, and the reason I like this subject though is because we actually had a situation where me and Kyrie was talking the other day. So that's where it came from. So if y'all want to know where this came
I
from,
figured it.
I had a conversation with Kyrie, and I literally had my son in the car, and I'm certain things. Now my son's sleeping as we're driving, but I'm like, yeah, I can't have certain conversations. What if your son was, you know what I'm saying? You gonna disown your son? You gonna punch him in the throat or something? I'm like, dude, yeah. But so where does that come from? Like I have an issue. So when my kids are in school, you know, boys are boys, right? You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have certain testosterone, but I constantly remember teachers telling your kids too active, your kids doing too much, or they just won't sit down in the class. And I think a lot of times teachers, and some of you teachers know this, y'all want little boys to act like little girls. You want them to be quiet, be passive, don't make noise, just sit there and make your day easier and your job easier versus where you should be doing is really learning what motivates them and what keeps them and to help them to do that. So what do y'all think of that? Because to me, I think that's an issue.
I do.
Teacher.
I was just gonna say, from a teacher's perspective, I don't mind boys being boys. Obviously, sometimes a lot of the boys in the classroom that do show out, they showing out, one, probably for the girls in the classroom, and two, because they just want to show out and they think they're hard or whatever. I don't have a problem with kids talking. I have a problem with kids talking back and forth with it. I'm not gonna argue with you. As a teacher, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you because you're a child. But I want boys to be boys. And so for me, I know for a fact I'm not gonna do anything that's gonna make them seem soft.
But what if the teacher's soft?
And you have that.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
you got a lot of soft teachers. You got a lot of male teachers that are soft. It's a lot of sophomore out here. Okay?
It is.
And all I'm saying is, just because you in the classroom and you soft, you can't have my kid be soft. He might be a little bit more aggressive than you. You know what I'm saying? So he might don't take wipes to the bathroom. He used tissue. I mean, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, let's keep it 100. You know, let's put that on the table, okay? I'm just saying, like, I feel like sometimes these teachers have their perspective of what a kid should be and how they should act. And then some of these teachers don't even have kids themselves, but want to show you how to raise yours. Like, how's that possible?
You're right about that. There are some teachers out there that don't have kids. They do feel as though they can tell you how to raise your kids.
So they've never raised a kid, but then they teach classes and try to understand kids or teach kids, and they don't have an understanding.
Well, from what I've seen is, and this goes back to like things that we talked about in the past, as far as when it does come to teaching and teaching male students in general, it's about building a relationship. Now, don't think that it ain't no soft boys that come up in the classroom and be trying to pop off to the teachers too, because they do. So all of them be popping off too, but it's for the teacher, I feel like it's, I don't know, the teachers are between a rock and a hard place. I do build relationships with the students that I deal with. That way I do know how, like Deshaun was saying, like I do know how to handle them or what works for them or what motivates them or what drives them, if anything. Now some just come in the classroom and just want to do what they want to do.
I mean, you one of them soft teachers.
Because they,
you know, you one of them soft teachers. You know what I'm saying?
The environment.
You one of them soft teachers. So, you know, when I talk about soft, I'm talking about you. I'm just gonna tell you, I'm talking about, when I'm talking about soft teachers, I'm talking about you. Your name is right there. It says Kyrie Soft Teacher. That's what it says. I mean, you know, so, you know, how you gonna tell us?
That's off of water, y'all, just so you know.
Right.
You don't see that red solo cup right now. That's just off of water right now. So I don't know if he had a Braves game. He definitely fired up.
Hey, he definitely fired up. But guess what? You know what? If I had his child in my classroom, I'm gonna go ahead and say, if I had his child in my classroom, I know he at work all the time. I'm gonna make it very inconvenient for him. That kid ain't got to. Hey, you come in my classroom, I'm calling your daddy to come pick you up because I'm not having this today.
I got a question. What is the appropriate age for a boy to date a girl?
That's an interesting question. Because for me, I can say my mom and my dad, it was for as long as he was here. Like when I was able to talk on the phone, so a lot of people wasn't able to talk on the phone, which was weird. So you could only get phone calls, and they never really told me like, oh, you can't date. So I don't really know like what's a proper age or whatever. I guess obviously they ain't going nowhere when they 10, but after that, like I don't really know. Like for guys, again, I can't gauge it against a girl, but I don't know.
Well, I guess it depends on dating. So I mean, my first girlfriend I had, I was eighth grade, seventh grade, was that eighth grade? What are you, 14? Right? 13, 14. So, I mean, I don't expect my kids to do anything less than I did. Now, my son, 10 years old with a girlfriend, I need to figure out what we doing wrong. But I mean, my oldest son's first girlfriend he had when he was maybe 15 years old. So I think within that range, I guess, you have to have conversations about it. But I don't know if there's a necessary age now. If they talking about doing other things, now that's a real conversation that you got to have with your son. I heard it said that with boys you got to worry about one penis. With girls you got to worry about them all. So.
Look, so I think it's based off of maturity. Now, let me tell you this. My
You
kids
still should
will
be
tell
dating.
my kids.
You said he still should be dating.
My kids, look, my kids would tell you that I say 16 is the number. You turn 16, you can date. Okay. But I have a son that's 15 right now, and he has a full-fledged girlfriend. Okay. And I was talking to Deshaun about this. All right, I'm gonna throw it out there. I think men, as we are raising our sons, we have this expectation for them that we want them to grow up and be men, strong, hard workers, protectors, being able to take care of their family, all these great things, right? The thing that we don't want is we don't want our sons coming in switching. We don't want our sons coming in, putting their hands on their hip. We don't want our sons coming in, throwing their hand like that. Like, we ain't with that, okay? Now, we have no control over what our kids will do once they're of age and they're old enough to make their own decisions. They can make whatever decision that they might want to make. But the thing that I would say is, that's cool. Once you're an adult, you do your thing, and I'm gonna accept whatever it is that you decide to do. Okay. But until then, a lot of times we will accept our boys to be dating a lot sooner than we probably would our daughters, because we want to make sure that our sons is wanting a woman,
Right,
and not wanting a man. Okay. Now, for all y'all lovers of all, that's great. My kids decided in the future that is the direction that they want to take. There's going to be a lot of blessed oil and praying, but I have to accept whatever, right? I have to accept it. But at this particular time in their life, they don't make that decision.
right.
It's the decision that what they're allowed to do is made by me or their mother.
So I'll kind of, give you an understanding of where that conversation with Courtney came from. So, and this is a little serious, but I was telling Courtney that, there's certain things that I actually do struggle with, right? And it's just because it's something that I've had ingrained from a young child. But I can very remember some adults, some men, when I was of a certain age, providing me things that I necessarily probably shouldn't have had. Certain visual images of stuff and, magazines, and you all probably understand.
Of women,
Videos.
not men, women.
Yeah, we're talking about videos and magazines and all these different things that we saw. And I mean, I was giving it, hey, here you go, take this. I never knew what Kama Sutra was until my grandfather gave me a book on it.
Right.
I'm literally looking at images of things going on. So that was
I
my question.
I didn't know Playboy until I got the book.
I got it.
And I was like, whoa.
So, we provide those kids those things? Do we provide our son those things because we want them mean, that's something that, and they're old school, but old school gave us those things because I think that's what they thought. Okay, we want these boys to be boys, we want them to be men, we're gonna give them these things. And is that right? Is that wrong?
See, that's a double-edged sword, because in the eyes of some, it's wrong. Because people will say, well, you're introducing your kids to the enemy. Okay. I would say you don't have to be introduced to the enemy. The enemy already got a plan for you already. His goal is to kill, steal, and destroy. You think he gonna look at you and say, oh, he get a pass? Absolutely not. If God himself knew us in the womb, now look, and for all the spiritual people, this is where we get into this tangle, okay? If God knew you in the womb, in your mother's womb, and he knows your beginning from your end, I feel like that means your life is planned. He knows the day you're gonna leave. He knew the day you're gonna start. He knew everything that you would be tempted with. He knew every struggle. And when he died on the cross, he bared all of that because he knew it in advance. He would deal with this. Deshaun would struggle with this. Kyrie would struggle with this. And if you, any type of a real man, you looking at this podcast right now, you can't tell me that there's not something in your life that you don't struggle with. Everybody's got a struggle. But even before we had that struggle, I feel like God already knew us in our mother's womb, knew what we would deal with, gave us enough grace and mercy and strength to overcome it. It's just my perspective. So I would say, again, some people might say that's wrong. Some people might ride with it. I'm in a position where I'm saying to my son, sometimes I do walk in the mall with my son and be like, man, shawty right there, she bad, ain't she? Because I want him to look. I mean, I'm sorry. I want him to look. Because if he walked past and he seen Tyrone and said, Dad, he bad, I would have a problem with that. Okay? So I would have a serious problem with that. So look, y'all can get in here, y'all can hate on me, you can be mad, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna raise my son how I think is the best, just like my dad tried to give me the best tools to succeed in life. And there ain't one man out here that could tell me that you might have secret struggles that you don't want nobody to know, but you're struggling with something.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think everybody has a struggle. I'm gonna let Kyrie speak, but I do feel like when you do that, you allow your children to be opened up to things that, right now we have over sexualization, over indulgence in a lot of things. And some of that comes from things that we expose. Whether you think you're showing your kids something, whether it's, a man and a woman, two women, whatever it is, to try to heighten that desire for that, you could be exposing them to a lot more things that they wouldn't have known. And I always say it because, I always think to myself, with them showing me those magazines, those videos, would they have done that to my female cousins? And probably not, for the most part, you don't want your daughters to have a certain sexualization. You want them to actually have less than that because okay, girl, you're pregnant, they can do something. You don't want them being fast. But it's almost like, okay, well, I mean, it's a boy. I mean, he'd be a player. And so it's that dynamic. And not that it's wrong, but what is that? What does that look like?
And look, I'm gonna let you answer in a minute. I just got one more thing to say. So I agree with what Deshaun is saying, okay? But the other thing that I would say is to think that our kids will not be exposed to something, they will be. So it's either gonna be, like, perfect example. I was never exposed to watching a flick or anything like that. I never forget, I went to a sleepover and I'm with a group of guys and my friend said, hey man, when my mom and dad go to sleep, I'm gonna pop this tape in. I want to show you this. Well, it was his dad's tape. But when he popped it in, all these boys sitting there looking, we're glued to the TV, right? First time that we're exposed to something. And when we're exposed to that, I wasn't exposed to that by my dad or anybody else. I was exposed to that by somebody I didn't even know. Do you think that I was comfortable enough to have that conversation with my dad or my brother? Heck no, I hid it. Because I didn't want to have that conversation because they never talked to me about it. We never had the conversation about it. They never exposed me to nothing. I never felt comfortable enough to have the conversation. So it became a part of my life of a huge secret, and I want my sons to be able, because I already know the enemy is going to attack, and I pray daily and I fast. I do all these different things to try to help my kids. But in the same token, I want to be able to have a relationship where we can communicate.
So you want them to be able to come to you
Yes.
about those things.
Correct. And feel comfortable.
Do you expose them enough so that you know it's there, or how do you start that conversation? How does that conversation come where you may not know they've been exposed to it, or how do you bring that up in terms of getting
so
that back?
perfect example. I've never exposed my kids to like a flick or whatever. The most I've ever done was in the mall and be like, yo, man, shawty bad, ain't she? That's the most, just to get his perspective of, his thought. And I will tell you, the first time I ever said that to my son, he didn't give me nothing, really. He didn't even respond. He didn't even say yes, no, maybe, whatever. Probably like a few weeks ago, we were all as a family watching something, my son, and he said something. They had like a scene or something where the guy was kissing the girl. And then we started to forward it. And he's like, hold on a second, I want to see that. And I was like, yeah, right. So I'm just keeping it 100, y'all. I'm sorry. Look, I'm just me, bro. That's all I am, is me, right? You know what I'm saying? We did the dab with I was like, oh I'm a dog, right? But I'm just saying, I just want him to be comfortable to have a conversation so that I can be able to help him where he don't go do things I want to.
Well, since Courtney decided you gonna take up all the time, guys, I guess we'll pick this up next time again as Man Thinks. I'll let Deshaun kind of roll us out.
I mean, he's soft,
always.
Man, soft. Listen, shout out to the gentleman. If you see outside in the back as a Man Thinks, shout out. Courtney can tell you who was that, Courtney? Who was the one that provided us that sign?
Bro, I can't tell you nothing, but what I can tell you is on our next podcast, we're gonna have that information for you, because dude hooked it up, and we just kind of continue to grow the podcast, grow the audience, and have you guys continue to understand what you're a part of is something way bigger than us. But how can they get in contact with us?
They can get in contact with us on asmanthinks.org, or continue to watch us on YouTube, listen to us on Spotify. I'm not sure about it. I've been saying Apple, but we're gonna have to recheck the Apple. But a lot of your live streams have us. Please definitely lock in. Again, our intent is just to pass information on things that men think about. It's never intended to offend anyone, so please don't take it as such.
Yeah, so don't take it as such. And then we do have our producer got us here, so we do have a Midwest monogram. So shout out to them for getting that signed to us. And as Kyrie said, you're going to look for it. It's going to be AAMT. So if you're looking for As a Man Thinks, you don't see it, put in AAMT. But As a Man Thinks, we look forward to talking to you next time. Peace.